Hey everybody, Brian Tro coming to you from Mossy Creek Fly Fishing with your fly fishing forecast. The date for today is Monday, June 30th. So happy 4th of July week to everybody. Should be a spectacular vacation week for getting out and enjoying some fishing. But we got a lot to go through, so let's get started. We'll get started with some of the good news first. The mountain brook trout fishing, which over the last couple of years has been very touch and go at this point in the season, is just absolutely phenomenal. It's on fire. As I say every year, water levels, water flow is really what those fish need to extend their feeding season, their ability to spread out from one another, their ability to eat properly, get good oxygen, have good cover. All those things they've had now for months. And at this point, with more rain in the forecast and all the water we've had and all the water table filling back up, this brook trout fishing is going to carry really well right into the summertime. How long? We'll see, but it's good. It's really good. And you know, a lot of people get concerned about temperatures, et cetera, for the trout, but it's really important that you all understand when you go to some of these mountain streams, first of all, you're out of the city, it's cooler. You're up, 2,000-3,000 feet in elevation, it's much cooler. And once you get up in these mountain streams, they have incredible canopies, everything's leafed out, there's hardly any sun penetration into a lot of the water, and they're all at the source of spring, so that's where streams start, is up in the mountains, and the groundwater temperature up in those mountains is usually about 52 degrees. So even last week when we had some days in the 90s down here in the valley, we were getting water temperature readings of like 62 degrees up in the mountains. So, and air temperatures of 80 degrees. So very, very comfortable, great wet wading conditions. And as far as bug life goes, most of our major mayflies are done for the season up in the mountains. You'll still find caddisflies, you'll find Yellowstone flies, but the lack of a regular bug coming off the water every day is what makes the brook trout fishing so much better in the summer. The fish have to begin to work for their food more. They have to hope that an ant or a beetle or a moth or a grasshopper hits the water, and because of that, they're very opportunistic, and getting on top of those bugs quickly and efficiently is going to be the name of the game for the brook trout. So you can use a little bit thicker leaders than you normally would because the water's up. You can get relatively close for those of you who like to high stick and Euro-nymph and all that stuff. The water flows really help you do that type of thing. So fishing is good from sun up till sundown. Go to your favorite mountain stream, spread out this weekend. With it being 4th of July, people are gonna be out fishing, but with so many trout streams being available to fish, you should be able to find a nice quiet place for you or your family to go and enjoy some awesome summertime brook trout stream. Standing in 60-degree knee-deep water with 80-degree air temperature in the shade, man, it feels great. It feels really, really good. So if you're into wet wading and you need the right footwear and apparel, we've got it here. We have wet wading shoes from Sims. We have wet wading shoes from Corkers and sandals. So we can get you out there if you need to do that. If you want to use your wading boots, we've got the neoprene socks that you can put into them to help accommodate that space made up by the loss of your wader. So come check that out. We'll get you on those brook trout streams. It should stay good for weeks and weeks at this point. All right, moving downhill into the spring creeks. The same thing kind of holds true for the spring creeks. The aquifers are filled. The flows are as good as they get. I posted some pictures yesterday on Mossy Creek. The stream is literally bank full. Off color for some of these storms. Clean enough they can see bugs and eat terrestrials. Dirty enough that you're not spooking everything in sight. It just doesn't get any better than this for this time of year. The one really important bug that we have now is the trico. The tricos are a very small mayfly, and they hatch every morning at sunup, but more importantly, the spinner falls happen every day, or sometimes between 9:30 and 10, sometimes a little later. Depends on if you're in the sun or if you're in the shade, but they are thick. Really thick. These trico spinners are going to be in big cloud swarms above the water, and once they hit, because they're such a small bug, the fish are going to have to come up and sip on a nice regular rhythm, okay? They can't swim down 2 feet and back up 2 feet. They'll burn too many calories. So you want to get out there at those times and use that hatch. You don't have to tie on size 22 Trico if you don't want to, or if you can't see it. You don't have to fish 7X. Just use that bug to get the activity up and to get those fish very interested in the surface. And then what will happen is you can throw ants and beetles and crickets at them. Speaking of ants and beetles and crickets, we are just about to have what we love to call beetle mania, okay? And it happens every year. Usually about the 10th of July is when most of you, especially if you're a gardener, you'll notice all of a sudden they come out of nowhere. The Japanese beetles will show up, your rose bushes will be covered, everything will be covered. And these beetles are a huge source of protein. They line the banks of these spring creeks. They start out on every multiflora rose bush. They get fat and happy and inevitably fall in. On windier days, they fall in a lot more frequently. The sound of those hard, heavy bugs hitting the water, along with grasshoppers and crickets and ants and other things, are going to create opportunity for the fish to feed. So just like the brook trout, they're having to kind of keep an eye on the surface more because they don't have regular food. The spring creek trout are the same way. As soon as those little cripple and spent Tricos make their way out of the system, which usually takes like an hour or two, the whole rest of the afternoon is spent looking for an opportunity to eat a terrestrial or a larger bug, okay? Believe it or not, the water levels are up enough that if you want to dangle streamers, even though the moss beds are growing up, you can fish across those moss beds right now. There's space in the creek to work larger flies, work some nymphs, etc. But slapping big terrestrials down is going to be the name of the game for months to come, okay? So get out there and enjoy the spring creeks. They are fishing wonderfully. All right. Also, don't overlook tailwaters like the Jackson tailwater. Fishing really, really well this time of year. Water stays nice and cold all summer long. So trout fishing, A+ for this time of year. All right, moving on down river into the larger streams. You're going to move into our warm water fisheries. They're a little bit big right now. So we've had a lot of rain, and some of these storms have been starting at the same place. So even if you live in the valley or in the western part of the state, you haven't gotten hammered much in the last few days, there are parts of the drainage that have gotten hit really, really hard, okay? So as far as the Shenandoah goes, over near North Mountain, all the 4,000-foot ridges to the west, we have had big storms. Every day it gets above 80 degrees, the storms form over those peaks. They can drop 1, 2, 3 inches of rain and then they slowly move out. So they're not hitting the whole watershed, but they're definitely causing some waters to rise quickly. The North River's big, the Middle River is really big, and we've got some mud coming down the pipe. So we need to be on the lookout. For those of you just trying to float on 4th of July, the water could be a little off color and a little big. For those of you trying to fish, it may not be just right, but it could get right. It looks like the rains are going to stop. Looks like no rain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So even if the river's a little bit off color and too high Wednesday or a little too high Thursday, perhaps by Friday it'll be right, or Saturday or Sunday. So check in with us on that, because we're expecting some more rain, could get some heavy rain, and then after that things are going to drop. Going to be a busy weekend, man. There's going to be a lot of, the tube hatch is going to be amazing. You know, the tubers just hatch right up out of the river, sunburned and drunk. And so you got to kind of watch out for those folks. But it's a fun time to be on the river nonetheless. It's enjoyable. Have patience with people. Some people, this is the only time they get out on the river. So if you're out on the James or the Shenandoah, you're trying to fish some, and there's some knuckleheads with, you know, American flag hats going down the river drinking some beers, have a little patience with them. They'll be gone next week, and hopefully you'll be back on the river. So enjoy this holiday weekend, enjoy all the fishing opportunities. Call us or email us or stop in, which we love even more, between now and this weekend if you need some updates, because there's definitely gonna be a lot of changes in the next 3 days to the big rivers. All right, that's it. I'll see you all after this fun weekend. Take care.